Hi, I'm Chauntez Dillet-Wilson, Assistant Director of Strategic Communications at the Disaster Risk Management Authority. Today, I'm answering your questions from Instagram, Facebook, and X about family emergency planning and evacuations. This is the DRM Authority's Ask the Experts. Our first question comes from Paige Mitchell 706, who asks, what should be included in my family plan? That's a great question. Bahamians are veterans at planning for hurricanes, but we never quite got the hang of doing family plans. So a family plan should consist of a few key components. One of the first components is your emergency contacts and communication plan. Your emergency contact list should include people like your doctor, of course your family and next of kin, all of the emergency contacts of the country, and don't forget to include the DRM Authority's emergency numbers for disasters, which you can find on our website at getready.gov.bs. You should also have a communications plan, which is how you will reach each other if you get separated or if for some reason you get disconnected. This can start off as a WhatsApp group, but can also be something like a calling circle where each person is assigned to call someone else within the family. The next thing you want to do is know your risk. That's your family's risk and your home's risk. What hazards are in your area that might compound a hurricane, like flooding or surging, and plan accordingly. Then you put together steps to address exactly how you prepare as a family and assign roles. Assigning roles means, first of all, making sure that everything gets done in a timely manner, and also means that everyone knows what they're doing. The next thing you want to do is put together your emergency preparedness kit. Now, we have a handy-dandy checklist on our website, getready.gov.bs, that you can use to put together your kit. Your disaster supply kit should have 7 days worth of food and water and 7 days worth of medication if you take it. Include a first aid kit in it, and also include a source of light like a flashlight or a candle. You want to make sure that you have a backup energy source for when the power goes out, if it goes out. And you want to make sure that you have things like cash and your important documents somewhere dry and safe. These days, we also recommend to have a life vest and a hatchet in case there is flooding and you need to escape. Ensure that you also have a shelter-in-place room, which is a sturdy room without many windows or doors that your family can shelter in if there is damage and you cannot evacuate. And lastly, you want to make sure that you have an evacuation plan in your family emergency plan. Our next question is from @YourFavoriteJohnson, who asks, how does one create an evacuation plan? An evacuation plan starts with identifying the hazards in your area. This allows you to respond accordingly. So for example, if you have surges in your area, you know you're going to avoid coastal roads. The next thing you want to do is identify your nearest 3 shelters. You want to have multiple shelters because if something happens to one and is impacted, or if something happens to that route, you know that you can easily pivot to the next nearest shelter. Next, you want to plan the fastest evacuation routes to each of those shelters. And make sure you plan alternate routes just in case main roads are impacted. Next, you want to make sure that you have transportation and plan in advance. If you have a personal vehicle, you want to make sure that it's always full of gas. If you do not have a personal vehicle, you want to ensure that you have alternatives, whether that's carpooling with a friend or public transportation or some other means. That needs to be planned in advance. And of course, if your family or someone in your family has special needs, whether medical or otherwise, you want to make sure that you're planning for that. Make sure that the shelter that you're going to can accommodate whatever needs that you have. And you can do that by calling the shelter or by calling social services. Lastly, you want to make sure that you pack a go bag. This is something you can grab and go when you hear the evacuation order. This should include things like a change of clothes, your toiletries, cash, all of your personal documents in something that can keep them dry, and you want to also include some comfort items to spend the time while you're at the shelter. You can find a full list of everything you should put in your go bag at getready.gov.bs. @CE Pratt asks, how detailed should my evacuation plan be? Lots of times we write down elaborate plans but forget about it during an emergency. How do I ensure that it's something we actually follow when disaster strikes? That's a great question. We recommend that a plan be as clear and concise as possible while also covering all contingencies for your family. Make sure that it's tailored to your family's needs and doesn't have additional information that you don't need. You can get a template for creating a family plan at getready.gov.bs to help you with this. We also recommend that you practice your plan. Run drills with your family a few times a year for different contingencies. This makes sure that everybody knows their role and can act quickly when disaster strikes, and it makes sure that everybody is a little less scared and knows what to do. Also, you can print out your family plan and keep it somewhere visible, like on your refrigerator, so that members of your family can review it and know where to find it when they need it. Johnny Moss asks, what happens if I don't evacuate? Well, the short answer is you put yourself in grave danger. Evacuation is not mandatory, but the DRM Act of 2022 states that first responders are not obligated to rescue those who decide to ignore an evacuation order. That means that if you choose to stay, you're putting your life at risk and cutting yourself off from assistance. If you hear an evacuation order, please move. Thanks for all the questions, everyone. If you didn't hear your question, stay tuned for the second episode on family and emergency planning. I'm Chauntez Dillet-Wilson, and this has been the DRM Authority's Ask the Experts.